When you have lived experience of discrimination and inequality, you can't help but be political. I didn't want anyone else to have that feeling where they're internalizing things that aren't their fault, but actually are systemic issues for the barriers and the experiences that they're facing. I really did just wake up and say, this is what we're doing, let's go for it. And I did and never looked back. I'm here now 5 years later. I am so creative. In the industry of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, it can feel quite serious. And in my proposals, I have this like slogan, which is like, DEI work is serious, but it doesn't have to be seriously boring. Because I've worked with clients before where the vibe isn't aligned, and that's what contributes to resenting the work.
Welcome to Coffee and Oysters, the only podcast for and by London's business babes, where we get you together with the business tips that actually work. My name is Frances Adara Matthews. I am the founder of the Notion Bar and a certified Notion consultant. I get my clients together with personalized productivity systems built in Notion and basically get you out of the spreadsheets. For my systems loving girlies, never fear, there's no need to struggle with Notion alone. I host the Big Notion Energy Academy. Every month, we go through Notion's latest releases, and you have the chance to ask me, a Notion expert, your burning questions. Details in the show notes. How is this week going? This week is good. This week is busy in the sense of there's a lot of admin and setup to do, but it's one of those in between weeks where in between projects, essentially, which is a nice feeling because you feel like you have a chance to breathe. But yeah, it's just one of those weeks. I'm very excited for where this podcast is going. Thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting and giving us those lovely 5-star ratings on Spotify. You should definitely go do that if you haven't already. It really helps us. I put out a LinkedIn post about podcast and everyone who's been on it so far. And it was really lovely to see all the feedback about people loving the podcast. And so, yeah, I am filled with a lot of joy. Let's just say that. Hey, London Business Babe. This community is built for us and by us to ungatekeep your next move and life in the city. If you never want to miss out, subscribe to the Substack where episodes will land straight in your inbox. Plus, every other Monday, you'll get a chance to feature on the show by shouting yourself out in the Manifest Monday email. You never know who's listening. Details in the show notes. Now, grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage and let's get into today's interview. So excited for today. Today's guest is Sara Chandran, pronouns she, they, who is the founder of Fresh and Fearless. They launched Fresh and Fearless in January 2020 to support organizations in their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Sara has also launched Out of the Office, a podcast exploring lessons to learn from the hit TV show The Office. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm so excited to be here and chat about life and everything else in between. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You mentioned earlier that you're just kind of doing the workshop run at the moment. How's that going?
It's going well. It's been busy. I feel like every time I do it, I learn something different each time. So it's quite nice to make incremental changes because each organization is very different in their needs. It's been a learning curve, but it's been good fun whilst on that journey.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to being over though.
Do you schools out for the summer type thing, or do you just keep going?
It's client by client. So they've booked a block of workshops for me to deliver for their team. Once their team is trained, we'll have a quiet time until the next client books a block of stuff for their team. And it's just like rinse and repeat.
And is it just you doing everything, or do you have a crew that helps you out?
I do most of the client facing things, like delivering workshops, but I have people that help me with the other side of stuff, like social media, admin, all of that lovely stuff. Because if I had to do it all, I think I would slowly start to struggle and probably burn out.
Fair enough. I am starting to learn that lesson myself, to be honest.
Yeah, you can't do it all on your own. There's certain things within our skill set that we can perform really well, and there are other things that we may not value as highly as somebody else who does it as a profession. They love that, so why not give them the work they love to do?
So for those of us who are new to your work, tell us about your journey. How do you wake up one day and you're like, you know what, I'm going to start a DEI consultancy? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much was that in a nutshell. I guess The way that it began is that I've always been quite a political person. I think when you have lived experience of discrimination and inequality, you can't help but be political. There is no choice in that. And so I always knew that I wanted to get into the political world or be in politics in some capacity. I did politics at university and I'd always been quite academic. But when I went to university, everything shifted for me. I moved from Newham, one of the most diverse boroughs in London, to Reading, which wasn't anywhere near as diverse as Newham. So it was a culture shock for me. I started to acclimatise to Reading and enjoy my university degree, but there was still some things that didn't quite fit and I didn't feel like I belonged so much. And I just kind of internalized that as, oh, that's a me problem. There's not something else externally that's going on that's causing that. And then the thing that I knew I always wanted to be part of the Students' Union at Reading, because I know that's a good stepping ladder into politics. I did that role and was elected as education officer for the year. And during that time, I was learning a lot about academia and the things that are happening in academia, how do courses and curriculums get all put together. One of the big reports that had come out that year was about the academic attainment gap where Black and brown students don't achieve 2-1s or firsts as often as their white peers, despite coming in with the exact same grade. So as I was reading through this report, I was like, what is happening that there's all these really intelligent people coming into university, but something is amiss at the institution that is letting them down, that they're not actually getting the grades that they should probably get compared to their white counterparts. The report ended with some points around some of the reasons why this was happening. Some reasons were like lecturers forgetting Black and brown people's names over their white student names. The curriculum itself is very white, European sounding names. There's not really a representation from all around the world. It's very, very Eurocentric. And there were a multitude of different things that were coming up. And obviously, people's experiences, in terms of what their background was. If someone in their family had been to university, all of those things have a part to play in how people feel like they belong. And I just remember looking at this list and going tick, 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 tick. And I was like, this is what happened. This is what I was experiencing. And it was like a light bulb moment where I was like, oh, all of the things that I'd internalized as me and my shortcomings and my lack was actually the university and the industry as a whole letting down Black and brown people. I didn't want anyone else to have that feeling where they're internalizing things that aren't their fault, but actually are systemic issues for the barriers and the experiences that they're facing. I remember speaking to my parents at the time about it and saying, this is what I want to do. They didn't see it as a real career or a job. They were like, what do you mean you want to work in diversity? Like, what does that even mean? I didn't actually know that there was a diversity role out there. I've always been quite creative. So I went into marketing and PR. But obviously, when there's your calling, you're never going to forget about it. You will find a way to come back to it. Whilst I was working in PR marketing, the leaders in the agencies were always asking me for advice and my perspective on things relating to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I was supporting them with all those things. That was what I really wanted to do full time. And so then I joined another agency that was focused on inclusivity in marketing. So really understanding and helping organizations speak to more diverse groups, big brands who want to have diverse people buying their products. How do we speak to those groups? So I did some work with them, but they were a startup. And unfortunately, after 6 months, I got made redundant. I thought to myself, I can go back into the agency world and focus on marketing and PR, but that's not what I want to do. Then I thought, why don't I just try and work for myself and see what happens? I really did just wake up and say, this is what we're doing. Let's go for it. And I did and never looked back. I'm here now 5 years later.
Incredible. And so it's interesting because you've had both that sort of agency experience and sort of that consultant type experience, but for someone else. Like, what do you feel like you've brought from those two experiences and how do they apply to what you do now with Fresh and Fearless?
Good question. I think there's so much in terms of client relationships that I learned from the PR and marketing world. In PR and marketing, it's all about your external public image, right? It's about how you present yourself. I think it was like 4 or 5 years that I worked in PR and marketing. I learned so much about how to build proposals, how to communicate messages to clients, make a client feel like they can let their guard down a little bit and trust you and share problems that they're having within their organization. So it really helped a lot with that side of thing in terms of working with clients. And I think now in my business, one of the things that I do really well is client management and client relationships. I've met people, manage those client relationships, and I've been working with them ever since. It's never really been one moment and then gone. I've actually sustained those relationships, and some of those clients have turned into friends, which is really beautiful.
And so how do clients find you in the first place? What are some of the best ways that you gain new clients, unorthodox or normal?
When I first started out, I have to give a big shout out to my network, my friends, and the people in my community, because they really stuck their neck out. If they heard anything in the pipeline with their teams wanting anything relating to diversity, equity, and inclusion, they knew that I just started my agency, and they're like, okay, let me see if I can get Sara in here and do some work. So that was how it started. It was definitely word of mouth. I'd build relationships with the people in those organizations. They would inevitably move to a different organization and take me with them. I'd end up getting clients through that. And then just the typical things like social media and going to events and networking, where you can build a network and get some clients through that.
It really sounds like relationship building is the thing that you sort of excel at. Is there anything that you feel like you do with your clients, current or potential, that you feel like is special, that maybe gives you a bit of an edge over other people?
I am so creative. In the industry of DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, it can feel quite serious. And in my proposals, I have this like slogan, which is like, DEI work is serious, but it doesn't have to be seriously boring. With my workshops, with my proposals, with the things that I do, my brand colors are blue, pink, and yellow. I have illustrations of my dog. He's like the brand mascot. So you'll see this black Labrador sprinkled all over my materials. The voice of my brand is an extension of my personality. That really resonates with people, because the things that I've often learned about over the years in business is people don't buy products and services, they buy you. If they can get to know you and what you are about, then that's the way to get them to sign on the dotted line that, yeah, I trust this person, I want to work with them.
I feel quite similar actually with my Notion consultancy. People always like, who are your ideal clients? Like, who do you work with? And I'm like, I don't really niche down by industry. I'm more like niche down by vibe. Like, if you get it, you get it.
Yeah, I love
So
that. I think that's just the best way to be there, because I've worked with clients before where the vibe isn't aligned, and that's what contributes to resenting the work,
yeah,
or you start to burn out and it's really hard to motivate yourself to do the job, which is not where you want to be.
no, 100%. And I love that you're putting this fun spin on it too. Like, it's so genius, like the podcast that you've come up with, analyzing The Office, like one of the most famous TV shows out there. Admittedly, I haven't actually seen it. But like, how did you come up with that idea? And what are some of the most surprising takeaways you've uncovered going down this deep dive of analyzing The Office?
I watch a lot of TV. I was raised on TV. That was like my childhood. TV's like my escape. About 7 years ago, I started watching The Office and was intermittent with it, but really enjoyed it. It was when the pandemic happened and we were all locked down at home that I just really got into it, and I absolutely loved the show. But also, it was coinciding with me starting my own consultancy. You'd have conversations with people and people would be like, what are you watching? I'm like, oh, I'm obsessed with The Office. They're like, as a DEI consultant, you should be asking for them to burn down the Office studios and never broadcast it ever again because it's so problematic. There's been articles that suggest people want to cancel The Office forever, which is absolutely not the case. Because of that kind of rhetoric and narrative and assumptions that people had, I wanted to tackle that. I thought a podcast is a great way to do that, to talk about something I absolutely love, and it's a great way to bring to life concepts around DEI that can feel elusive and challenging, using a famous TV show which is quite satire and comical to bring it to life. A great way to do it. And to be honest, it's a selfish thing where I can invite my friends on, force them to watch the show and talk about it with me. That is literally all it's about.
I love that. This podcast also feels a little bit like a selfish project sometimes as well. I'm just like, I just want to bring on people who are cool and pick their brains. Oh, I love that. So you've basically got two arms of your business, really. You've got your consultancy, but then you've also got a podcast. How do you manage that within your schedule?
I pretty much burnt out towards the end of last year because I was trying to manage the two. I really struggled to the point where I'm still finding emails in my inbox from October, November last year that I just left unread because I just couldn't open my emails. So I'd say it's not sustainable to do both. If you can get some help, definitely do that. So I am actually on the lookout for someone to help me with the podcast for season 3, because I appreciate that it's a big job and I can't do it alone. And there's lots of moving pieces with it. And I think what I've learned from that experience is I went into this year, and one of my friends, she has this idea where she's like, pick, rather than like New Year's resolutions, have like one word that represents the energy you want to go into the year with. And because of the experience I had last year, I was like, okay, this year I want to have balance. And that is something I've really focused on. And that's why the podcast is kind of taking a back seat this year. I absolutely want to bring it back. I adore it. I think it's a great idea and it's done so well for 2 seasons. But I also appreciate there's only so much you can do as one person. That's the best way I can answer that question.
Yeah, fair enough. It is a real labor of love. It's a real
Mm-hmm.
labor of love, as I have come to see. And yeah, I have got some help recently that's about to start, and I'm really looking forward to it because I too was starting to burn out. It's just like
Yeah.
I would like to
This
go to sleep at a reasonable hour, like too much to ask.
Oh my gosh, the times that I'd be up until 3 a.m.
Dude.
finalizing. I'm getting hot and sweaty just thinking about it. My body's in stress.
Like the people
So yeah,
people need to understand.
if you don't just hit record and then release it, there's a lot more to it. So anyone thinking about it, do it because it's great, but also maybe get some advice and support if you can.
Yeah, 1,000%. And so you are currently in this era of like you've been running your business for a while and have probably found a rhythm with it. But was there ever a point where you were experimenting and you started with one thing and you're like, oh no, we need to pivot, like this isn't working anymore, or I'm just generally not enjoying this anymore?
I feel like I'd go through that every 6 months.
Yeah.
When you run your own business, it's like an extension of yourself. And as a person with your own identity and your own behaviors and likes and dislikes, it's never static. Something I really enjoy this year, next year I might come to be like, yeah, I'm never doing that ever again because I'm in a different frame of mind or in a different phase of my life. I've been caught up before in like, if I've started something, then I have to continue it because otherwise it looks like a failing. But actually things just move. Business should fluctuate and be kind of malleable like we are as humans because that's the nature of the business world. One thing that I have really tried to pivot this year from last year and the previous years is, as I said at the beginning, I really value the relationships that I build through my business and the networks that I have. Over the years, the work that's actually contributed the most to me feeling very stressed and even on the brink of burnout is when it's been work where I'm not creating a relationship with somebody. So they'll ask me to come in and do a 1 hour workshop and then I never see them ever again. And that's so unfulfilling for me. For some people, that's like their idea of a dream world, like go in, deliver their thing and then leave. But for me, I need to get to know the people that I'm going to be working with, whether that's the client themselves or the people in the room I'm doing a workshop with. I know there's so much beauty in actually consulting and auditing the organization and really understanding what is it that you're struggling with right now and how can I best support you? Because sometimes clients don't know what they need and they need someone externally to look at that data, to look at the information and say, hey, you've probably not seen this, but this is a big red flag. Let's deal with this in the best way possible and then move forward rather than here's a 1 hour workshop that you can maybe go to if you choose to and then hope that that fixes something when it typically doesn't. So I did a lot of that, in the first few years. And I think when you start your business, there is a little bit of just accepting the things that come through the door because you're apprehensive about when's the next gig going to come up? When am I going to get new clients? Once you've got that momentum and understand what it is that helps you thrive and not thrive, you can start to be more specific about the things that you work on and try to not do the things that possibly make you feel stressed and burnt out. Stress is good in measure, but too much of it can be a bad thing.
Yeah, 1,000%. And so in your line of work, you must get a lot of objections when you face the mirror up to people. How do you handle that and try and bring the client back on side to the vision of why they hired you in the first place?
To be honest, I've never really had a client that has been they've not been like that too much. I've been really lucky with the clients that I've had that are always on board, really supportive, are always excited to do the things that, I suggest and the recommendations. I think where I probably get the most pushback is when I do workshops and there's potentially people in the room that are maybe, anti-DEI or have preconceived notions about what the workshop may or may not be like. How I deal with it is I just carry on as and hope that, and it does work this way, actually pleasantly surprise them that the workshop isn't like, bashing them and shaming them, because that's not my style. My style is we're all on this planet trying to figure things out. So let's try and figure it out together. And whilst we're doing that, let's do it where there's like illustrations of Casper and we're using bright colors and really bringing stories into these things, making it a lot more relatable for people, because we often focus so much on, absolutely, we are all different and we have our own unique stories, but there is so much that connects us. It's just about finding those little nuggets of information to bridge those gaps.
I love how you do it through pop culture as well. It feels familiar to people, so it's not completely alien in that sense as
Yeah.
well. Very cool. And so on this journey, you're like nailing the relationship building stuff, the client relation work. Building a business is a whole different thing. Like the last episode of the podcast that Vesta was on, and she was talking about the technician of the business. That's what you do. Then there's the entrepreneur side where you have all the ideas about different things you could do. Then there's the management side where it's like, well, are we making enough money? Like, is this profitable, etc. Was there anything that you feel like you've had to upskill on as you're growing your business and learn about watch podcasts, YouTube, etc., or even get formal training on?
Yeah. The biggest thing I have had as a learning curve is I diagnosed ADHD for many, many years. So it was navigating workplaces, not knowing that. And I didn't know I had ADHD in the first couple of years of running my business. And so learning about my ADHD has probably been the biggest thing that I've had to navigate over the last couple of years. I feel like there's this skills regression where I forgot everything in terms of how I used to do things pre-diagnosis. And now that I have, I kind of understand it a little bit more, I definitely feel more empowered and feel more in tune with how to do things with my ADHD rather than against it, and then contributing to burnout. So I think that's been a huge thing, surrounding myself with other neurodivergent people and reading, watching, and learning more about ADHD and neurodivergence, the tools and things that I can equip myself with to help me as an entrepreneur. When I'm having moments where I can't get started, there are things I can do. In terms of skills, whenever I felt like I am struggling and I don't have the skills, that's when it's time to delegate. In the first couple of years, I was like, maybe I could try to do the accounts myself. And then I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I've got an accountant now who does it all for me. Because of my ADHD, I had a different type of accountant where they would just do the books at the end of the year. But I realized because of my ADHD, I hate admin. Like, I just absolutely despise it. And so having someone help me, which is like sending the invoices, chasing invoices, because that was a big part of my job, a few years ago. And it's nice to not be in charge of that anymore. So yeah, that's probably something that's been quite the learning curve.
Amazing. Love that. Delegate. Don't even struggle through it. Just get it off the plate.
Absolutely.
Love that. What are your streams of income? Visually, how do you protect yourself financially?
Yeah, I think having an accountant who can give me all the advice that I need is really helpful. I'd say financially, I'm still kind of figuring that out. I kind of just figure things out month by month. So I'd say that I have like my regular retainer clients who give me a steady income month by month. Then I'll have project-based clients that come in. I might have one or two or three, depending on what's going on and how much capacity it takes every quarter. That's kind of how I work. Those projects would be like bulks of workshops and delivering sessions. And then I might do ad hoc stuff here, there, and everywhere, like a talk or stuff like that. But that would probably be the main income streams. And then in terms of protecting myself financially, I think that I'm still trying to figure that out. And I think that's just the nature of running your own business. You set aside what you've got to pay for tax and VAT and your salary. And then I probably just leave everything else because I'm too scared to touch in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
So that's the honest truth.
Yeah. The rainy day and the rainy day fun that just like never gets touched. Yeah, I hear you. And I like to wrap up this section, the fun question. Like, what did you want to be when you grew up as a child?
I really wanted to be an astronaut. From a very young age, I've always been obsessed with space. I used to have lots of books. I remember asking my grandma to buy me like 100 boxes of Weetabix because there was this thing where it's like if you had so many tokens from the Weetabix box, you get
Okay.
these books, and one of them was like on the solar system. And we managed to get that, and I was
Oh yeah.
obsessed with the book. Have
Sorry,
I
I've
just brought
just
back a memory for you?
oh, because it was like because this is what Kellogg's, right? Or one
I
of
think
them.
so.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was the little tokens. Oh yeah. Nice.
Yeah, little nostalgic moment for us all. There would be random books everywhere. I would always go to the bit that had something about space and the universe, and I'd always ask my dad about stuff, and he was always interested in space. But when I went to school, I was naturally quite good at English. My teachers pushed that as opposed to science, and I never really pursued it. There's been occasions here and there where I'm like, oh, I could always go back to university and study something about science, but I think I can just be an amateur with my telescope, and that will do me for now.
I love that. I think if I had to pull from that, it's this kind of desire to create worlds or analyze stories or like what's out there or not out there. If I had to
Mm.
pull from that, it's kind of a little bit close to what you're doing now.
No, it's absolutely true. Growing up, I was so into sci-fi,
Mm.
and a lot of the narrative is about how we treat aliens and situations and people and environments that are different to our own, and how we often treat them with disdain and mistrust. But then towards the end of the episode, it's like, oh no, we're all best friends and allies. A lot of that is just narratives pulled from our planet itself because it's what we experience day to
That's
day.
so, that's so true. Have you watched any of the new Doctor Who episodes with Ncuti Gatwa?
No, not yet. I really want to though.
Oh, it's so interesting. Sci-fi has always been quote unquote like political, as other people might say quote unquote woke. Doctor Who has always been that way if you dig into the storyline. But what's interesting is that people have only started paying attention now that Doctor Who is a black queer man. And it's just that they're like, oh, what's all this? And it's like, no, no, no. It's literally always been this way.
Yeah, I think about that in music as well. Like people always say these punk bands and rock bands like suddenly awoke, and I was like, they were always anti like this stuff. How did you not pick up on this before?
Hope you're enjoying the show. We'd love to hear what you're thinking. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Even better, if you're loving the show, take 2 seconds to rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other people find us. And if you want to be a guest, details in the show notes on how to sign up. Now, let's jump back in. Now, let's dive into just some things that make your life easier. I always like to start off this section with music. I'm actually building a Spotify playlist, which you will get access to once this episode rolls out. What's on your hype song list when you wake up or you're just trying to get going?
I did go through a phase, particularly when I was going to deliver in-person workshops and I needed a song to pump me up. So when I saw this question, it immediately came to mind. It's Christina Aguilera and Lil Kim, Can't Hold Us Down.
Solid. I can't wait to put that on the playlist, actually. Solid choice. The video as well had, yeah.
It's an epic video. It's just so good. Even the lyrics, it's all very poignant. It's just such a tune and it gets you really pumped. I love that. I used to always listen to that before workshops.
Great choice. And then how do you stay grounded? Do you have any personal policies? I really try to not take calls before 10 a.m. unless it's a time zone difference or something.
Something I've started doing this year is learning golf. I love playing golf now. I'm honestly obsessed. I never thought that was in my future, and here I am playing it as much as I can. My personal policy at the moment is that golf is a very tricky and difficult sport. And it's not one that you can leave for 3 months and then hope when you go back that everything's going to be just as it was. You kind of have to maintain that level. So once a week minimum, one working day, I go and play a round of golf in the week. And that is my non-negotiable, my personal policy. It forces me to get outside. It forces me to switch off. Golf is full of etiquette. So it's not even like I can check my phone and make sure everything's okay. It's like, no, you're on the golf course. Put your phone away. You're focused on your shots. If you're really angry, take it out on the ball and it's great.
I love that. Do you just see like the driving range or do you like go around kind of?
Yeah, I go around the course. I've just become a member at a club around the corner from me. They're quite a special club and I really do love them. They closed the academy off to any men and boys and it's only open to women. I joined that 2 years ago. Yeah, they really wanted to encourage more women to take up the sport. One of the ways to do that is, well, let's get some beginners in and let's
Yeah.
train them up. So that's what the academy was for. And I did that for a year and then became a full member.
And have you found, like, because I know a lot of people stay at their golf club because it's like a proper community that you're building up. Like everyone knows each other and becomes friends at the end of it. Do you feel like you found that in your golf community as well?
Yeah, I've been invited to 2 weddings of two golf
Wow.
members already. And yeah, I have built a really lovely community. My partner plays golf there, and I didn't want to like step on his toes. And so he has his own community and I have my own. And I've built some really lovely friendship with some of the women, really of all ages. It's been really beautiful.
Amazing. So now let's skip into like style. Do you have any pieces in your wardrobe that you would define as your uniform? So pieces or brands that you're just like, these are my go-tos.
I'm not big on brands. I'm very driven by color and texture. Because of my ADHD, I can sometimes have sensitivities to how clothing fit on me. And because I have chronic illness as well, it means that I have to be really mindful of the clothes that I wear in addition to that. So I love stretchy trousers. That's like my go-to. And bright colors. So like this blue jumper I wear a lot. There's a grey jumper actually that I wear a lot, but that's because it's so baggy and I just think it's so comfortable. And then I don't actually need to wear glasses, but I love wearing my glasses. These are like the blue light ones, and I feel like they're part of my like, I put them on and I'm like, I'm ready for work now. So that's like my thing.
Love that. And how about beauty? Do you have any hair, skin things that you're obsessed with?
Now, if you get me started talking about skincare, I may not stop because I'm absolutely obsessed.
Try us.
Yeah, I love skincare. There's been times where I've been known to have like a 12-step skincare routine. I can get quite obsessive with it. My partner works for LG and they're a Korean company, so he gets to fly out once a year. And I always send him with a little shopping list of Korean skincare products because obviously the Koreans know what they're doing when it comes to skincare. Sun cream, I always get Korean sun cream because it just is great. Vitamin C, I don't use retinols and stuff like that, but yeah, vitamin C is something that I find works really well for my skin, and like propolis stuff and sheet masks and all that kind of stuff. There's a salon around the corner from me. It's a bit of a treat every once in a while. I've only done it a couple of times, but they do this oxygen facial and it is the wildest sensation. They put this thing near your face. And when she first did it, I thought I might suffocate because the oxygen coming out was so close to my nose. At what point do I breathe in and when do I breathe out? Because there's just air being blown into my face.
Is that enjoyable?
No, but the skin afterwards, immaculate, worth it.
And when would you go to get that? Like, what would you start to notice that you're like, oh, maybe it's time for another top up?
I think when I'm starting to feel dehydrated and then I can see fine lines coming back. So it really does just help hydrate and plump up your skin. It puts moisture back into your face.
Fair enough.
So good after a holiday if you've been somewhere really cold or really hot. Yeah.
Okay. And then with the skincare, do you have any like hero products where you're like, these are my ride or dies, I'm never deviating?
I have suddenly got obsessed with the Superdrugs range of their own stuff because yeah, they actually, I was just like, I spend all this money on all these other things, but whilst I'm waiting for my partner to fly to Korea, I have to deal with something in the interim. I don't want to spend loads of money on stuff when I know it can get it cheaper out there. And there's this peptide moisturizer from Superdrug, which I just lather it on and it's amazing. They also have a Seeker jelly mask, but that has been sold out for months. So I feel like maybe it's someone's posted it on TikTok and they've sold it out, but that stuff is really good.
Yeah, that always happens with TikTok. It's like the NYX, NYX, their lip gloss stain things. I was like, oh, this looks good. Gone everywhere.
It's straight.
But yeah, the Superdrug range is quite decent. I've got some sheet masks and things from them before. And then when it comes to like, let's bring it back to some kind of like business vibe. Do you have any like, tools or apps that you're obsessed with that help you get things done quicker in your business?
With my workshops, I use a tool called Mentally, which I
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
love, which has been really great. Sometimes when delivering a virtual session, even in person, actually, people can be reluctant to, like, especially on the topic of DEI, to talk about or share their opinions. So it's anonymous and people feel a little bit less like pressure to formulate a perfect answer. So I need to kind of brings the barriers down for people to share. So I really love Mentimeter.
Just
Oh,
for the
sorry,
people
go.
who don't know what it is, it's like an anonymous poll thing where you, the organizer, can ask questions and the audience can submit answers, right?
And there's
Yeah.
different features on there. So like this morning delivering workshops, you can always do like check-ins. So like at the beginning of the session, like how's everyone feeling, and people can write in, you get a word cloud. I put up a series of 5 pictures of pandas all doing very different things, and I say which panda represents your current state.
That's so
So there'll be a
funny.
sleepy panda, a panda chomping away at something, there'll be a hiding panda. So it's kind of like a light-hearted way to break the ice at the start of the session.
Love that. And what was
Yeah.
the other tools you're going to shout out?
To be honest, I was scratching my brain. I just love being able to use Google Sheets, Google Drive. Like it's an inexpensive way to work, because sometimes other things can cost a lot of money. So having a Google Drive folder is sensational for me.
Cool. And then is there anything you consume to make you a better business person? Could be books, podcasts, newsletters, etc. that you would want to put people on.
There's lots that I was like, where do I start with this stuff? With the DEI world, there's some amazing people that I follow and do some great work. There's a friend of mine does an amazing newsletter called Sue Me, and they send out a newsletter that has like kind of like a storytelling narrative to it. You can follow them on Instagram and sign up on Sumi. I think it's does.dei. And then another friend of mine, Asha, her Instagram, she's just launched Indigo Home. And it's a really useful resource for learning about neurodivergence and how to support yourself through that. We're really good friends. So I voice note her quite regularly and I'm like, this is what's going on. She's like, it's okay. This is what we can do. We can figure out. And she's very good for reminding me to have lunch because I'm always forgetting to eat.
Yeah.
Find yourself some friends like that in terms of resources to help you do your day to day. Those are the things that I would say that are pretty good in terms of newsletters.
Okay, cool. And then I like to ask this question every once in a while, but like, what ads are you getting right now? I feel like you can always tell a lot about a person based on the ads that they're getting.
Golf clothing, literally
Oh,
every
wow,
single
yeah.
time I'm online, it's like, buy this skirt, buy this top, buy this thing, buy that thing. And I'm like, this is too overwhelming. I'm just all about vintage. I buy a
Yes.
secondhand item, and that's me. I don't buy anything brand new.
Literally so with you. Do you know what Vinted needs? I will die on this hill. For image search. If you see something somewhere, you just want to image search it to see what's similar.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes like people don't put the product description in, like the product that is actually on the website. So you have to do this whole mouse chase thing, trying to put in different search terms.
Honestly, I can spend hours on that. And I think it's because the product descriptions aren't on point. So you can just scroll for hours. You're like, surely someone has this thing that I really want. And so you end up just like an endless scroll. And I'm like, oh my God, it's 2 a.m. I need to get my butt off Vinted.
Oh, hey again. Did you know there are roughly 100,000 London business babes out there? And we're on a mission to reach as many as possible. Enjoying what you hear? To support the hours of work that goes into making this special, you can either A, consider supporting directly as a paid monthly Substack subscriber to also unlock future exclusive content for less than a coffee and a croissant. B, any brands listening? We'd love to explore ways for you to be part of the journey. C, at the very least, on your next co-working date, tell a fellow London business babe about us. Details in the show notes. Now let's jump back in.
Thanks for giving us a little insight to your world. And now gonna chat a little bit about London. Whereabouts are you based in the city, like northeast, south, west? You don't have to say your neighborhood if you don't want to.
So I'm around Kingston area,
Oh,
southwest
okay.
London. Always, so as I said, I like lived in Clapham and Wandsworth, and then decided Kingston would be where I would settle up.
Nice. Yeah, I actually know someone in Kingston as well. So I was like,
Yeah, it's a nice area. It's quite green,
Mm.
and it's like local to. I can get to Richmond Park really easily, and there's other places further down in Surrey, which is really nice. And I've got my golf club here as well, so it's perfect. I live in the perfect place.
And is there anything on your London bucket list that you really want to do at the moment?
Yeah, I was trying to remember the name of it. I was searching on Instagram. There's a place in London, I think in East London, where It's open till 4 a.m. They've got a ball pit, but they also have like retro games, but it's not like a boozy place. You have unlimited teas and coffees.
Ooh.
That's on my bucket list. A friend shared it with me. So anyone that knows it, please let me know, 'cause I really need to go.
I was gonna say Ballison, but I think that is quite a boozy place.
Yeah, no, it's like quite a small niche place, and you can like, you get a ticket, you go in, and then you're there for a few hours, and you can stay as long as you want. I just love the unlimited cups of tea and being in a retro space. It's quite fun.
No, I am that person when I go to the bar or something. I'm like, do you have any tea? And they're like, sometimes they say yes, especially if it's like a hotel or something. But like most of the time they don't. And we need to do more of that. We need more tea, please.
Absolutely.
I think especially as more and more people don't drink as much anymore, alcohol. So it's just like a nice alternative.
And there's a place that I really love going to, which is NQ64, because I just love playing games like Mario Kart and stuff like that. And they have like a dance machine, love a dance machine. They also have Guitar Hero and stuff, but it is so boozy. I would love it if there was a place like this where you could still have booze, but there's a different vibe where you can go there in the daytime and not make it a club vibe and have a cup of tea.
On the dance floor.
Yes.
Speaking about places that you love in London, is there anywhere that you love sort of like food-wise that you're obsessed with and recommend to everybody?
I am just obsessed with Dishoom.
Yeah.
I just think it's the best place ever. Anytime I have the chance to go to Dishoom, I'm right there. I think the food is amazing. It's like the lamb chops, delicious. I took my sister once, and it's funny because I think in my head, I'm like, oh, everyone's been to Dishoom. We were celebrating her engagement. She's like, I've never been. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I wish I could experience Dishoom for the first time again. So I had to live vicariously through her.
Oh, incredible. You know what? I have only done Dishoom breakfast. So niche. It was in Manchester as well, but I am yet to do Dishoom lunch and dinner.
Yeah, their breakfast is good. They do some really great breakfast there.
Okay. And then are you much of like a cafe, like co-working spot person at all?
So because of my dog Casper, I typically just mostly work I look down because he's just actually come to sit next to me, which is very sweet. If I'm working somewhere in central London, I find a random cafe. I don't really have a place because I don't go there enough. But I did stumble upon a really nice place in Shoreditch. It's like opposite the box part, and it's like you're walking through a building to the next road across, and there was no one there, and the coffee there was incredible. They also had a poster, I took a photo of it, where they were like, we're a trans inclusive place. And I was like, okay, if I'm in Shoreditch again, I'm definitely going to this place. And I was searching high and low on Google to find the name of it, but couldn't find it. So I think it's one of those ones where you just stumble upon, and it's just like the walkway through a block of offices.
I think I know. Is it like inside and it feels like a warehouse?
Yes.
It's like upstairs is what's that thing with Soho House? They have their co-working thing. Soho House's co-working space is in there. If you go upstairs, that's...
Oh, okay. So it's obviously just underneath that then.
Oh, okay. Cool. And then do you go to any networking events? Or are you part of any member clubs, networks, that type of thing that you would recommend?
Highly recommend Jess Bruno and her networking event, which is so much fun. I've been to 2 so far, but she does them once a quarter, and I meet the most extraordinary people. It's open to women, non-binary people, and you just get together and network. The last session, there was like people getting tooth gems. There was a twerking session set up as well. It was just all of us twerking together, which was fun. And games where you exchange details. Jess's partner had made an incredible chocolate fudge cake, which was honestly the best fudge cake I'd ever eaten in my life. So yeah, I definitely recommend Jess Bruno and a networking event.
Yeah, the last one I think I wanted to, there was a clash and so I couldn't go, but it's 100% always been on my list and I'm like, must go.
Yeah, it's worth a visit.
Amazing. Anything else in London you want to shout out before we wrap up?
I just love it in the summer. I think it's the best place in the summer. When it's dark and dreary, miserable, and it's like really hard to stay motivated to want to be here. But when the sun comes out, I'm like, okay, this city it's got its charm.
Yeah, the sun takes London from like the 4 to an 8. Yeah. So maybe it's not so bad.
Exactly.
But, okay.
don't worry if it's a lot to take in. All of the amazing tools, spots and recommendations mentioned by our guests can be found in the Coffee and Oysters guide. Details in the show notes.
So in this final section, I like for you to celebrate a recent win of yours and also celebrate another London business babe who you are proud of for something that they've done.
Can my win be non-business related?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So I am completely new to golf. 2 weekends ago, I got my very first eagle, which is a pretty extraordinary achievement for anyone that isn't a golf person. So on it might take you 4 strokes, like 4 shots to get it in the hole. I got it 2 under. So I hit a great drive off the green and then chipped it into the hole for a 2, which makes it an eagle. That was incredible. It was really quite special because I was playing with a bunch of women that I think 2 of them I hadn't played with before, and they were all celebrating me. We didn't win the match. Another group won the match, but went back into the clubhouse and all the women were coming up to me and congratulating me. They were giving me hugs and celebrating it. It was just a really nice moment of community and friendship and just a really lovely moment of women celebrating women. And I was saying to some of the women, the clubs that I have in my bag are a hand-me-down from one of the other women members. And the only reason I got involved with golf was from one of the other women pushing me to join the academy. And I was like, this wasn't just mine, it's all of ours. If it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have got me involved and I wouldn't have got my eagle. And now they've made a little sticker for me on this bird thing of an eagle with my name on it, which is really sweet.
Oh, that's so cool. Congrats. I love that. Such a great story as well. It's like the hand-me-down clubs. It just brings it all together.
Yeah,
So
it's
cute.
really amazing. And the second question, what was that?
Is anyone else that you would like to shout out for something amazing they've achieved recently?
Asha, who just launched Indigo Home, amazing. And then my friend Jo from Amp Up Your Voice, also a DEI consultant, and she's just been doing some great stuff. She's been shortlisted for so many awards, continuing to push and be amazing. She's an extraordinary person. She inspires me. I look up to her and I think she's an awesome person to celebrate.
Amazing. Everyone, go follow them. I'm sure they're doing incredible things.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, is there anything that you want to plug? And is there anything that you need help with? You did mention something earlier about the podcast assistant there.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring that up again. Need help with podcast production. So if anyone is wanting to help with that, then definitely get in touch. I think the thing I'd want to plug is my own podcast, get as much engagement for the first 2 seasons ahead of trying to launch season 3 and get that up and running again. And then just my social handles. I'm trying to make more reels and be more active. Any support is always welcome.
And where can people find you on Instagram and elsewhere?
Yeah, so on Instagram, connect with me, Sara Chandran, and then Instagram, it's freshandfearless_UK. You'll probably know it's me because it'll be bright pink, blue, and yellow, and there'll be images of Casper everywhere because he gets around the algorithm so easily.
Love that. Oh, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been so much fun. And yeah, I'm excited for people to listen to this and explore all the amazing work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a really good time and it's just been nice connecting and reminiscing. I feel like there's quite a lot of nostalgia that we had in this session. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. Get in touch at coffeeandoysters@gmail.com. Stay connected at Coffee and Oysters Pod on TikTok and Instagram. And never miss out by subscribing to Substack. Details in the show notes. And most importantly, keep those 5-star ratings coming and see you next time.